Question 16. Chlorine is reacted with aqueous potassium iodide and a brown solution is formed. Which statement about this reaction is correct? So chlorine is a diatomic molecule with the formula Cl2, and potassium iodide is a soluble ionic compound with formula Ki. This reaction is a displacement reaction for the group 7 halogens, where a more reactive halogen can displace a less reactive halogen out of its compound or salt and take its place in the salt. The more reactive halogen is going to be chlorine in this case, which is located higher up in the group than iodine. Therefore, chlorine is going to be successful in kicking iodine out of the potassium iodide compound, taking its place to form potassium chloride, and iodine will remain as iodine element, which is also going to be a diatomic molecule with molecular formula I2. Statement A states that chlorine is reduced because it loses electrons. So chlorine became a chloride ion, and gaining a negative charge means that chlorine actually accepted electrons. Balancing this out, there are 2 atoms of chlorine as the reactant, so 2 chloride ions should have been formed. And 2 chloride ions will give the right side of the equation a -2 charge. Therefore, on the left hand side should also have a -2 charge, leading us to balance out the charges with 2 moles of electrons. So we can say that 1 mole of chlorine takes in 2 moles of electrons to form 2 moles of chloride ions. The gain of electrons by chlorine means that chlorine is reduced because the gain of electrons is reduction. Option A states that chlorine is reduced because it loses electrons. Chlorine is indeed reduced, but it is due to the gain of electrons and not a loss of electrons. So option A is wrong. B states that the oxidation state of chlorine decreases. The oxidation state of elemental chlorine is 0, and that of the chloride ion is -1. We can see that the oxidation state indeed decreased from 0 to -1. Therefore, B is the correct answer. The iodide ions gain electrons. Let's write the half equation for the conversion of iodide ions into iodine. We see that there are 2 atoms of iodine on the right side of the equation, so we have to balance it out with 2 moles of iodide ions on the left, and balancing out the -2 charge on the left hand side will lead us to add 2 moles of electrons on the right hand side. This means that iodide ions lost 2 moles of electrons when it is being converted to iodine. In this case, iodide ions lost electrons, and option C is wrong. Iodine attracts electrons more easily than chlorine. For iodine to attract electrons, it will become an iodide ion, and for chlorine to attract electrons, it will become a chloride ion. Balancing out the equation, this means that 1 molecule of iodine or chlorine will attract or gain 2 moles of electrons to form 2 moles of the iodide or chloride ion. According to the reactivity of all the group 7 elements, including fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, and astatine, which are all diatomic molecules, we know that fluorine is the most reactive because it has the highest tendency to gain that additional electron and achieve the stable octet structure of the outermost electron shell. Therefore, going down the group, the tendency to gain this electron will fall. Therefore, comparing iodine and chlorine, chlorine is going to be more reactive and will more likely gain electrons than iodine. Therefore, it is wrong to say that iodine attracts electrons more easily than chlorine, because it should be the other way round, where chlorine attracts electrons more easily than iodine. Therefore, B is the correct answer.